CP rhymes with TP. Am I fucking right?
I don't get it, but I love it.
Oh.
What's up? This is Michael Rapport, or as that motherfucker CP calls me, What's His Cock from True Romance, and you're watching WILIscredia. CP, you motherfucker. You know who the fuck I am from True Romance, you motherfucker. And what the fuck is a WILIscredia? Who the fuck knows what a WILIscredia is anyway?
Hello, B's, G's, NB's, Peens, Vageens, and in-betweens. I come to you, well, luckily, as always, as Charles, otherwise known as CP, CPO. Depends on whatever it is you want to call me. Dickhead. The typical leftist racist I've seen quite a few times, which those two are not like the other. But, good evening. What is up to everybody who is waiting in the chat? J-Deb, Sean, Jason Voorhees. Oh.
Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
There you go, Jason. Happy birthday. Even though it's a week late, even if it were Friday. Ryan, what's up? Dice, you keep that hammer handy. Troy, what's up? What's going on, everybody? All right, so those of you who are supporters of the channel have seen the prologue of the Lost video that was supposed to come out on 8/15/23, and if you follow the show Lost, all three of those numbers are in the numbers, and yeah, I was working on that, and I just couldn't sit and edit for an extended period, so I would do 5 minutes, take a break, do 5 minutes, take a break, and I've had an ongoing spinal issue, well, for a very long time. I had my lowest disc, which is the L5S1, replaced, and the spinal surgeon, when I had that surgery done in 2010, he said, you're gonna want to fix the one right above it, the L4. I'd say within a decade is what he said. In 2010, coming up on 14 years later, and yeah, I probably asked for this. I had the warning, And yeah, so in the flights to and fro England, the one on the way especially was really, really bad, with turbulence. And airplane seats, unless you're like in one of those beds in first class, or like you've got just cushions upon cushions. I mean, they're soft, but it's 7+ hours, and plus, you know, you got to get in the plane and sit, so you're waiting half an hour before the plane actually takes off, if it takes off on time. So me being seated alone is just enough, you know, for that length of time is enough for me to be just cranky. But we hit unnatural turbulence, easy for you to say, and it was so bad that I actually called the flight attendant, always changing the names, and shout out to Norse Airways, because I was sitting in the riffraff class and they did everything to try to make me comfortable. There were empty seats in the back. They let me lay out across three seats, and you know, they brought me water, which normally costs $6. So if you want free water, fake an injury. That is not advice I'm giving. I do not acknowledge that sentence whatsoever. And it got to the point where, like, he's like, if you need to go to the ER, we're about to leave Newfoundland, and because flights, when you go from the US to Europe or the UK or something, they try to be as close to land as possible. It's not like the Titanic where they just go straight across the Atlantic. They try to keep themselves close to land. So, you know, when you're flying, you're basically tracing the border of the US. And he's like, you're gonna need to let us know. And I'm like, don't you dare stop this fucking plane. I'm not getting on another plane. I said, is there a doctor on board? And there was, and he spoke, I want to say Turkish. And luckily he had an app, and he was asking me all these questions, and, you know, all that. It was bizarre, a spectacle. But again, shout out to Norse Airways, which is a brand new airliner, and they really only do cross-Atlantic flights. I think New York, Florida, UK, Norway, obviously. Might be France too. There's a couple. They're just breaking into it. But for the price, they're one of those a la carte companies where if you don't bring bags, you can get a really, really cheap ticket. And again, for somebody who was in the I paid the lowest price possible class, they went above and beyond to try to make me feel something comfortable or something akin to it. They gave me meds. They gave me something to put up me bum, a suppository. So theoretically, or technically, I joined the Mile High Club with medication, and so there's that. Good old. Oh, you know what? I could join the Mile High Club from the front. I could have just whacked off. Damn it. But yeah. So on the return flight, or when I returned to the States, I scheduled an appointment with a specialist, because when I had this first surgery, I had really good insurance. That's back when I lived in a home, owned it, was paying a mortgage, had my own car that was paid off, all of this upper middle class stuff that you Gen Z and millennials probably know nothing of. My apologies. But the situation has changed. I don't have any of those things: a house, a car, money, insurance, any of that. So they recommended the L4 disc, the one that I've been aware of, that I get Fusion. And what they do in Fusion is they just kind of take your discs or your vertebrae, and they just like fucking put a plate on it, and so that your two vertebrae don't move, they're stuck. And well, I'll give you a display here. So this is the spine. This is the spine on drugs. So I've also been told that I have a trauma in my C5. That is up in the neck. Here is the middle, my T7. I've suffered trauma. And here we go. So the L4 is the current issue. Bulging disc, needs surgery. My L5 is replaced. And this is the human tail, which is also known as the sac rum, and the cock 6, or the tailbone if you're not weird. All right, so here is my my hospital history. In the States, I've had surgery, physical therapy, and since the surgery, the opioid crisis, which I spelled wrong. No, did I? Opioid? Fuck it, I don't know. It affects pain management, which I'll get to that in a second. Denmark, physical therapy, pain management treatment. Denmark is probably, if I had to rate any of these, the easiest and most laid back and most understanding of these four countries. Scotland, in a close second, mind you. Scotland, I wasn't there very long, but they were, just making sure that I had pain management treatment, also known as opioids. In the UK, they're just over the counter. You can get fucking what the equivalent is of what a dentist would prescribe you for root canal, like a Vicodin or Percocet or some shit. It's cocodamol. It's codeine with paracetamol, or you could get codeine with ibuprofen, which is what I usually go for, because ibuprofen is an anti-inflammatory. And when I was in England, they would give me temporary pain management, and those were usually 3 to 5 day supplies. And I understand a lot of them are on strike. It's weird. The Scots and the British both operate under the NHS, and I found out the very hard way that they're different. The NHS isn't this universally covered fucking thing. It's different in every country. I would have figured the NHS is like, I was telling them, if I go to Texas, they can access my information in New York, because it's, we're all part of the same United States. Here in the United Kingdom, where you guys have the same name, same logo, all of that. I had an NHS number technically in Scotland. I didn't have one in England. And at this stage, I'm just starting to think that the British are just fucking just I think they take pleasure in saying no and being stubborn. No. You need a number. Well, my wife lives here. I'm taking the steps to move here. doesn't count. You don't have the right visa. And it's just like, what the fuck? Here's 3 days worth of liquid. Well, first they gave me short tech, which is oxy for those of you who are familiar with street game. And it wasn't the strong stuff. They don't have the strong stuff in Europe, oddly enough. In Denmark it was 20 milligrams. In Scotland it was 15, but it was 2 separate pills, 10 and 5. And in England they gave me 10. I think they gave me 15 or 20 or whatever. Like the they don't do bottles over there. They do these, like, I don't know, aluminum plates, and whatever fits on a tray is how many you get. And whatever that was, I want to say it was 16. That was 4 days supply, and 10 milligrams is a third of what I was prescribed when I had spinal surgery. Granted, it wasn't the worst, and it certainly was better than anything else that I was taking, but that didn't last. They then gave me liquid morphine, which was a 5-day supply, and I tried to make that last. And when I used it most, people noticed my lighthearted nature on the autopsy stream. I did take a healthy swig of the liquid morphine for that stream, and for good reason, because I think we were streaming for close to 3, maybe 3.5 hours. So, you know, my jovial nature, that was me feeling no pain in more ways than one. But it was good. It was good to be in an environment where the noise I was making didn't matter. It felt like the good old days, the beginning with Emily, where it was just, you know, our place, but there's no neighbors to worry about as far as sound. But yeah, so the surgery that I had a second opinion for was supposed to be another disc replacement on the L4, which I showed you before, right above my L5. I would show you my actual MRI tests. Zainab, this is personal, this is none of your business, and I'm talking about it. So be sure to bring this up next time when you want to talk about, when I bring up things like my sex life, because I kind of am pretty candid about everything. You just seem to highlight when I only talk about my sex life. This stuff, there's a thing you have to sign in the hospital to release your records, and I'm just spitting it out freely. So this is none of your business. You're welcome. I'm sharing it with you. Skull. Yes, Dice. Drugs equals I'll wear pink. I'd say that's a good response. I've seen cops. And I'm on no drugs right now, which is how we get to the most recent trip to the ER again. So in the meantime, I need to bridge the pain before I get surgery again. They're going to try to do this specialist that I spoke to on either Tuesday or Wednesday, I don't remember. I was having issues, what they call incontinence, and not from the back but the front. Like I didn't know I had to pee until like last second, and it was kind of funky. And there was a part of me that's like, wow, I'm just getting old. It's that where I've reached the point where I either piss myself or run to the bathroom. This is it. It's the beginning of the end. And you know, just in passing, I told the doctor about that. my pain management specialist, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing anything with you until we rule out." She used some Latin word, which I don't know, Aquina Sequoia, or I don't know, Deus Mac, some shit. I don't remember what the fuck it was, but they prescribed me to go to the ER stat, and they wanted an MRI, and because apparently, if that L4 disc, the disc, the thing in between each of the vertebrae, they're like these like fat little gummy bears, and or gummy plates, or if you've had those peaches without all the sugar on it, it's just a gummy thing with jelly in the middle, which is what I've been told by doctors many a time. So because my vertebrae were squishing down on the disc, it was like, just pushing out or bulging, herniated disc. These are all terms that you've probably heard many people say before. And the pain management doctor told me that there are times where that disc could affect the bladder, and if it's untreated, paralysis is a possibility. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. If you don't want to see me, just say you don't want to see me. Paralysis. But yeah, it was serious, because the last 4-5 months of my life have been, uncomfortable. And if I had to rate my waiting time in the ER, I've been to the hospital, I think 4 or 5 times in the last 6 months, and 3 or 4 times in the last 6 weeks, because the prescription had stat on it. I wasn't waiting very long. They set me up and put me in a room with a chair, and so I just had to wait for the MRI machine to be ready. It was the shortest wait in the pre-boarding area of the ER. Like, I was there maybe 45 minutes. That is the shortest ever. Well, maybe not ever, but they then checked me to like the middle part, where I had to just sit in a chair. Some people had beds. Spinal issue, you would think you'd let me sit or lay in a bed, but I digest. Kept asking for pillows and whatnot. And the thing about America, and oddly enough, I'm somebody who's been on both sides of this opioid epidemic, and this is something that I said to the doctor. Well, any doctor I see, I say this all the time. I am a product of when these big pharma companies were inducing doctors to prescribe everything. And pre and post surgery, I was being prescribed like ridiculous amounts of, I think at one point I was taking about the equivalent of 500 milligrams of oxycodone a day. It was OxyContin, oxycodone, and what we all know now as fentanyl. But that was like this patch thing that like there was gel in it, and it was like slow release, as was the OxyContin, and the roxicodone was for breakthrough pain. So doing that for a long enough time, your tolerance to meds just gets really, really high, and your tolerance to pain gets really, really low. And unfortunately, I've had to suffer through that I didn't ask to be overprescribed opioids. And this is something that I've said to anybody that kind of gives me that slant eye. And I love going to pharmacies in the U.S. where I have a controlled substance prescription. Those are the best. The look that I get is just adorable. You don't look old enough to be prescribed this. And there's one nosy person. I don't even think they're a pharmacist. And there was one time that they asked, "Do you have cancer?" And I was like, "What?" See, again, none of anybody's business. This is not, what is wrong with me is my business. But I don't have a problem being candid. I was like, no, I spinal surgery. I have extreme chronic issues with my spine. And she goes, "Oh, and you're getting prescribed this?" And I'm like, "Is there a problem?" And she's like, "I'm gonna have to call the doctor." And it's just extra bullshit. And that's post 2015, where everybody and their mother started. I mean, I have people that I used to work with at the social club that have I can't tell you how many times somebody offered me money for medication, like exorbitant amounts. And there's at least 2 people that I've worked with and hung out with and played cards, poker, dealt cards, poker. The guy who sits in the seat that gives you your cards is also called the dealer. All the hot button words, if you just look at them together, somebody could edit this the right way, make it sound like I'm dealing drugs. But they succumbed to the epidemic, the dependence. I'm not somebody who likes to use the word addiction, because I think that there's this stigma attached to that word, and I would like to say dependence and addiction. I'm addicted to vanilla Coke. That's something I don't have to, like. It's not like my body tells me we need vanilla Coke. When you do something long enough, and it's I say involuntarily, loosely, but a doctor prescribes it to you to help function. I wouldn't call that an addiction. That's an unfortunate situation from the system that this lovely country has. And now, on the ass end of what big pharmacies, or what is it, Purdue? One of these big companies, they're like trying to settle for like billions of dollars so that they can't be sued. And that's when you know that they knew what the fuck they were doing. But on the ass end, there's no like transition treatment. There's just like, as far as people who don't know anything about what this medication does to you, there's no transition. They just think, all right, well, stop prescribing that. You need to taper. There needs to be a transition period. You can't just. It's like, this stuff is, a lot of these opioids, depending on how much you're taking, it's synthetic heroin essentially. And there are so many people that, fuck, Alice in Chains, I can't help but think of the song Dope Sick. There were times where I wasn't necessarily in need of medication due to pain, but my body started getting like shitty. Like, I started feeling really unwell. It's like a flu mixed with anxiety on steroids, and you get like really clammy, and your body is essentially saying, "Hey, it's been 4 hours. Time for that thing." And you know, again, there's been times where like I wouldn't consider myself in urgent pain that needed the attention, but my body was so used to this shit where that, you know, you take the medication just to not have that gross feeling. And it's just strange. This country, we created a monster, and I don't know, we're not exactly treating it well. Like you don't just let the gates open and then say, all right, shut the gates, forget it. Well, you got to herd everybody back in. You know, this isn't an open and shut type thing here. And this is the one thing that I will give credit to Europe. And again, opioids are available over the counter in Europe. Not strong, mind you. Don't go planning some fucking drug trip. But, you know, to save on their backlogged NHS, they're not ERs. What do they call them? AE? I don't know what it stands for. Because ER makes sense. Emergency room. Alternate emergency? I forget. But it's AE in England. I think it was AE in Scotland too. But that they're both NHS, but they don't know anything about each other. And Denmark especially. If you go back, I don't know if the video is still up. When Dennis and I, shout out to Dennis, because when Dennis was over here, he stayed at my house in Suffolk, and his channel name is The Blue Corner, so you have the idea of what the hell I'm referencing. He was in the room that was painted pink, and he did a stream, or excuse me, a vlog type video, and he said, I'm changing my channel name, welcome to the Pink Corner. Shout out, Dennis. Tribute to you in Denmark. I'm here in the Pink Corner. But in Denmark, he was shocked when he was here that we have pharmacists on a level higher than, you know, customers, patients, whatever you want to call them, and behind glass. And he's like, this is weird. You would think that there's like, you know, like thousands of dollars of money, or like a bank. He says even we don't have, some banks don't have you know, glass and stuff like that separate you. And it's like, yeah, well, you don't have firearms in your country. And he was just shocked by it. He was shocked at what pharmacies, not only the way they presented the pharmacist, but also the things that were sold in a pharmacy. Like you could get blood pressure medication, you can get your diabetes medication, and also get a Coke, which, if you understand just how ridiculous that sounds, it is ridiculous. It never hit me until I saw it through an outsider's eyes. Like, oh yeah, I guess that is weird that you could technically just neutralize whatever it is medication you're going to pick up by getting sugary treats. And then when I was in Denmark, and again, this is all of Europe, and I don't know, they haven't had issues like we do, so there's no perceived judgment. I just know with a certain look with doctors or pharmacists that, like, they just give you this look like, he's up to no good. It's like, yeah, What do you want to come with me to my house and watch me take the medication and stay with me the whole time? Because I'm not doing anything of ill-gotten gains. But that's not the case in Europe. It's very, very just transactional. And Denmark, of all places, this may not be the case in Copenhagen. Granted, I was in, the country, the northern part of Denmark, but there is like what you would call like an island in a kitchen. You know how you can like walk in and out of the kitchen, and there's the island where if you want to, a breakfast nook or whatever the hell, that is the way their tills or cash registers are set up. And in the walking back and front part is this giant spinning thing with all the medication on it. And I'm like, all right, so they're going to give me the meds. I'm sure they're going to have to go to wherever the safe is to get the narcotic pain medication. And sure enough, I was fascinated. I don't know if I filmed it. I don't think I don't think I did, because I was sure I didn't want to get evicted from a country. And sure enough, they grabbed it, like right there. Like it's, and again, if you think of things from Dennis's perspective, or a Danish citizen's perspective, you go to America where, the pharmacist is 20 feet back and 10 feet above you, maybe 5 feet, and behind bulletproof glass, easy for you to say. And in Denmark, if you're frisky enough and you want to try things and see what the law is like over there, you literally can. There's nothing stopping you from walking up to the carousel of meds and just saying, oh yeah, here we go, a bunch of morphine, pocket, bye. There's nothing. There's like nothing in your way. It was astounding. Tell me something about Denmark I don't know. I'm not a real Dane. Oh yeah, I don't know what all that. It's been so long. Shit, man. I think the last two words are my country. Shit. But needless to say, long story short, they did the MRI. I do have an issue with my L4 disc, but they said it's a toss-up. It is moderate as far as whether or not I want to get surgery. And I'm like, well, if we're not treating this in any way, shape, or form, and my only option is fusion, I need to sleep on this, because when I had my first surgery, my L5S1 disc, I started playing hockey again. Like, my mobility returned. I felt good for a bit, and actually, as far as my performance as an athlete is concerned, I had one of my better years after my surgery. I was on a team that we went undefeated, and the team named me the MVP of the playoffs when we won the whole thing, and that was quite exciting, considering before the operation I thought that was it. I'm not doing anything remotely close to mobile again. And not only did I play hockey, granted I play goalie, so I'm not really making too much contact on purpose, but it gave me reason to think that, all right, well, if the L4 gets replaced, maybe I'll be able to. Well, they tell you you can't run. They tell you can swim. There are certain things. It's weird. Horseback riding was one of the things that they said you can do, which if you can't run, horseback riding is the same thing. They don't want you running because the constant pressure, like your feet hitting the ground, is just like shock waves going up your leg and into your tailbone and spine and shit. So I understood that. They don't want you running and constantly getting a thud on your lower back. But horseback riding, you're doing that through a proxy. The horse is the same premise as running. Your tailbone is taking all of the it's the same experience I had with the turbulence. You're just eating every bump with your ass. So I had a long discussion with one of the, I don't know if they were a nurse practitioner or a doctor or what, and she's like, we're going to send you home, follow up with your doctor, and yeah, there's something wrong, but there's nothing that we would really check you in for. So on the report of my MRI, it says that that my, what is it? It's either my disc or the vertebrae height is 50%, and I'm like, so it's half. My L4 to L5, the vertebrae is half. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, that sounds like it's bad. I mean, if they told me about this 13 years ago that I would want to get that fixed, I don't recall any numbers that were thrown at me, but they didn't say anything about percentage. And she's like, well, there's 4 stages, and stage 1 is up to, I think, 20%. Stage 2 is up to 35 or 40%. Stage 3 is up to, I think, 60%. And then she didn't say anything else. And I was like, well, what's stage 4? She goes, collapse. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm fucking 10% away from collapsing? What the shit? And anybody who's had, like, ligaments torn in their knee or any sort of arthritis, bone on bone fucking kills. It is painful. And here's this doctor that's saying, yeah, you're a couple of months away from your fucking disc just getting crushed by your own weight, you fat pig. She didn't say that, of course, but I felt it. That's all I felt. And I'm like, all right, so can you listen? I said, I understand. I've seen the looks when I told you guys that my history of medication and everything. I said, I sit at a desk. I don't leave my house. I need some, see, and here I am now talking about it. My body's like, hey, yeah. I need you to, I said, I'm not looking to get high or anything. I just need you to give me something that I can at least work. I can't sit at my desk. I sit at my desk for 10, 15 minutes doing editing, which is, for any regular job, it's monotonous. It really, I enjoy it, but at the same time, you're just doing just desk work and whatever the fuck, and editing is one of those things where it feels like you're not doing that much, but then you look at the clock and it's like, holy fuck, 4 hours have passed and I've edited 13 seconds. And my issue was I need this is how I make income, is doing editing right now. Until I figure out what the hell my future is in regards to preventing a collapse of my fucking vertebrae. I I'm not saying that I'm looking for a fucking opioid fix. I need I for the sake of making money, I need something that'll, if you can neutralize it, if you could just kill it, if you want to make me numb, I'm fine with that. I'm not looking for the top of the mountain. I understand the situation I'm in, that because of my surgery in 2010, and because it was the Wild West as far as prescribing medications concerned, that everything's different here now. I get that. But at the same time, you're telling me there's something wrong, but you can't really do anything about it. There's something wrong. It's not as bad as the first doctor that prescribed the ER trip is, but you're also not going to treat it. So, and she's like, yeah, the problem is back pain is a really popular thing in this country, and blah, blah, blah. I said, hey, I've had this for 13 years, and actually 15 years, because I was in a car accident very, very, very late 2007, and dealt with that pain. That was pre-surgery, was just torture. I've dealt with this. This isn't I bent over to pick up a box and got a sting. This is chronic. This is something that I've been dealing with. This is something that I was warned about, and I need help. I get it. I understand the situation that you guys are in now that the government has slapped your hand and said no prescribing anymore. We're going to let Purdue off. But I need something to just help me exist. And she just kind of shrugged her shoulders, and she said, we can give you muscle relaxers and this and that. I said, what about my nerves? For those of you who don't know, the disc is what touches nerves, and it gives you like this shooting sensation, what I like to call like lightning bolts running through my lower back. And when you react to avoid that sensation, your muscle is not used to such a quick snapping movement, and then you get a muscle spasm, or it's essentially like a Charlie horse in your back, which cause and effect. The effect is the muscle spasms because you overreacted to the nerve pain, where they're like essentially saying, we can help you with the effect. The cause, I don't know what to tell you. And so I've had to deal with an increasing issue with pain, and it's something that I've dealt with quite a bit, and it's increased. And England, there's so many things I can say about England. But I expect to try to go back there again for my 5th detention in a British airport. 5 straight, baby. I'm going for Cal Ripken's record. But Emily's planted the flag over there, and that appears to be the future, as far as if we're going to maintain a married relationship. That appears to be the destination. I'm going to have to get on their good side somehow. So I'm named after their king, for fuck's sake. You would think I'd get a discount. But in the meantime, what isn't legal in England or the UK at all, but is legal in most of the US, and by most I would say I think 45 states, and the states where it's not legal in is really interesting, because these are the states that suffer really heavily from the opioid crisis. Places like Kentucky, I want to say West Virginia. I know West Virginia is just fucked. They're all poor. They're all just that Johnny Knoxville documentary about this family from West Virginia, The Wild World of the Whites, I want to say it was. They call it hillbilly heroin, is what they call it, but I think that's being quite cruel about it, because if anything, it's fucking pure heroin. It's synthetic. But what I've had to do in the meantime, while doctors say there's something wrong, but there's nothing we can do unless you want to staple your fucking vertebrae together, which I don't want to do. I'm already immobile. What they're essentially what they're offering is, we'll get rid of that disc and we'll put a plate behind your vertebrae, and you won't have that sensation so much, but your mobility will be just fucked for the rest of your life. And she did say that. She said, I understand why you don't want that. Fusion is something that is usually for somebody much older than you. And I said, I know. But it's like this catch-22. It's a weird situation where in Denmark they would help bridge the gap. In Scotland they would help bridge the gap. England they would, but I don't have the right visa or an NHS number. The amount of fucking litigiousness and the paperwork and everything that goes on in England is fucking infuriating. When it comes to the just visiting, the way they word things is so vague. This most recent time that I visited Emily, I was under the impression that I was going to be able to stay for a while. And I said, I have a 6-month visa. I was supposed to, I only stayed 2 weeks last time. Shouldn't I be able to accrue 5.5 months or whatever? The plan was for me to be there at least through Emily's birthday, which is in a couple of days. And I kind of wanted to see the freighter of our furniture and shit arrive. I wanted to be on both ends of the shipment. And the guy's like, no, it's just 6 months from the date. 6 months from that original date. And I was like, but the guy told me that I have 6 months total. And he goes, yeah, well, it's implied. And I'm like, implied? What the fuck? What do you mean implied? How am I supposed to read implication? And it's so barring me going to live I don't know, Scotland, Denmark, I don't know, France, my best advice to those of you, and this is something that I've heard quite a bit about before I looked into it and took it on, and it is the next best thing. And again, it's legal in 45, maybe a little more or a little less, of the 50 states in the U.S. And it's slightly stronger than your low level Percocet, Vicodin, stuff like that. And it is a ground up leaf called Kratom or Kratom. And when I was with Cody can tell you that he took me to a place that they usually sell them in like smoke shops. Don't get Kratom from like a gas station or someplace like that, because that's like fucking bath salts. You don't want to fuck around with someplace that is just, if you're genuine about either pain or weaning off of opioids, this is something that I've been told is the cat's pajamas. And so a company that I use, I'm not sponsored, mind you, this is Mitragaya. It is their website right there. They have a bunch, and I mean a fucking bunch of strains of the leaf. And whatever your issue is, they tend to tell you to get a specific strain. Now, I normally get red because red is for pain and or anxiety. It relaxes you, and it mimics things that painkillers do. But anybody who's taken narcotic opiates will tell you that it's like a watered down dollar store brand of it. You're not if you're taking shit like this to get high, you're not really going to get high. This is legitimately for somebody who is in pain and needs something, and it's the next best thing. It's not like I'm doing incredibly well. I know people swear by it that aren't quite in such chronic issues. I know people have used this stuff to wean themselves off and not feel the whatever the sickness, the sweats, the weird I don't know what to call it, a dope sick, to once again quote the great Lane Staley. It's unfortunate that if perhaps all of these people that we lost due to opioid overdose, if this would just get a bit more attention. I watched a documentary on it too by the guy who did the Bigger, Stronger. He did a documentary on steroids, and his brother, Mike Bell, was a wrestler that was from upstate New York. That my uncles knew him, and he is what you would call a jobber in the WWE or F back then. And he not only took steroids to get big and strong, but he also, because of I mean, I can't tell you how many times you hear about a wrestler who mixes steroids with narcotic painkillers and things like that, and die. Like, it's steroids make you really fucking jacked up, and painkillers make your, you know, you're really fucking with your heart by doing stuff like that. But he himself, the director of this film, I believe it's called a Leaf, Leaf, of Faith. I know his last name is Bell because he talked about his brother in it. And this is the next best thing, like genuinely. The different strains. Green, I'm looking at it backwards. Green is something that, if you need to function during the day, is something you'd look into. White is something that is for energy. You'll never see me take white. I do not need energy with my anxiety. And red is something that is for pain or something to relax. And you know, these ones on the bottom here, they're like mixes, because they say there's only 3 true kratom plants, and they're named green, white, and red due to the veins of the leaf. It is a cousin of coffee. It's related to the coffee plant. So they have these hybrids like yellow and gold, and this was the last of gold. And gold is, for me at least, it's like a mixture of what I would call green and red, and I tried taking that. Cody says, "I'll quote Lane Staley, pick up a chainsaw, let's fucking go, rooster." I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Yeah, everybody wish Cody better feelings. He's not doing too well. He's stuck being sick and waiting on my stupid ass. Any cousin of coffee is a friend of mine. Preach. But in all seriousness, this, again, not sponsored. This company, they're really good about it. And if you look at prices, if you go to like a smoke shop or something, including the shipping costs, this is a really good provider. The customer service is quite good. I have no fiduciary interest in this. I would highly suggest, if you're looking to at least try it and see how it affects you. First, see if it's legal in your state. Second, they have like tiny, like 1 ounce spoonful, whatever. The catch, here's what the catch is with this plant. It is awful tasting. There's no way around it. It is dirt, essentially. It tastes like tea that somehow fell in the mud. If you can imagine what that taste is, and you gotta grin and bear it. And some people have said they mix it with like chocolate milk, and it lightens up the disgusting manner in which it tastes. I just find it tastes like really shitty chocolate milk, but that's just me. You know, when you've been prescribed liquid morphine and it tastes like plastic with sugar poured on top in liquid form, your tongue is just kind of used to anything. So, I mean, Cody can tell you that he was witnessing firsthand. Anybody who watches enough YouTube, the A1 greens, that shit looks like it looks like it doesn't taste very good at all. Which, by the way, they give me a call, A1. What the fuck? you can mix it in water. Some people, there are some things that you can't like mix it with because it'll neutralize the entire effect of the medication, the dirt, what have you. But it takes, if you take it, and it's not something that you can, well, I don't know, I guess anybody can find a way to abuse anything. It's not something you can snort. It's not something you can inject. It's just something that you mix in water and take orally. That's really it. Anybody looking to fuck around with stuff like this, it's, first of all, it's not going to work. Secondly, you're probably going to kill yourself by snorting really, really fine dirt. And again, it's dirt. You can't inject it. Your heart will cease once that dirt reaches your heart. So there's I mean, again, I'm sure people have tried and found out how to, I don't know, work the system. I mean, that's the case with everything. I mean, why do we need ID to buy cough medicine? People fucking figured out a way to do stupid shit with it. That's how. But it is certainly better than lower grade opioids, in my opinion. And it's something that it's not the best help in the world for somebody in my situation, but I would imagine somebody who's not dealing with chronic pain and doesn't want to do the opioid dance, regardless, it seems like most states aren't going to be your partner anyway. I mean, I would like it to be regulated. I mean, they keep tempting, they keep teasing the fact that they want to put it on a restricted list, and these people who have been defending it, again, this director, I want to say his name's Chris Bell, I want to say. You can get it in gel cap form. Oh, right. Yeah, you're going to be taking a lot of those caps, though. They usually say to start low. I think 3 milligrams is what they want you to start with. And if you take gel caps, you're taking six gel caps, because I think it's 500 milligrams or whatever the fuck. I just remember, fuck it. I'd rather just do the full. I'm up to 8 milligrams, where it's just 3 spoonfuls and just gross. It's gross, but it's a means to an end. And again, if you have no tolerance, if you know, if you're somebody who's not familiar with you know, the opioids and the narcotic pain medication, it may give you a buzz. I don't know. Emily took it for tooth pain, and she wasn't really fazed by it. She said it helped, but you know, it wasn't a miracle drug by any stretch, but it certainly was better than Tylenol, aspirin, Advil, things like that. And again, to those of you who are suffering with dependence, again, I refuse to call it addiction. I really do. And you want a way out. You could taper, and I mean, listen, it's not going to be the perfect system, but you could use it to taper, or if you're somebody who suffers like I do, it's the next best thing without getting a side eye, even though the government is giving certain states the side eye, which is worse. At least one of those states where it's not legal is one of the worst affected opioid crisis states, which is very, very confusing. It makes you wonder where money is being put as far as motivation is concerned. Because you would think if we can get people off of these meds and, you know, on a track to being productive human beings with a plant. I mean, people are finally coming around to cannabis, which that's something I tried for pain. It fucks with my head more than anything, and nope. I don't like being high. I genuinely don't like being high. It's why you never really see me drink. I'll every now and again I'll like have wine with dinner or something on a flight. If they're serving chicken or something, I'll have white wine. Occasionally, because I'm a fucking sugar freak, I'll put something like Kahlua in a coffee, but I don't know. I drink maybe 5 times a year, and it like really has to be a special occasion, and I don't really like overdo it because I don't like the feeling of that. I can't control what my head is doing. I already have that with the anxiety, so you know I'm not trying to induce that any further. But yeah, if you know somebody who is struggling and is either struggling with addiction or dependence or has pain issues and they feel hopeless, tell them to try this, and tell them I sent you. Maybe we can get a sponsorship. I don't know how the fuck this would happen. This place isn't really that big. They have 2 locations that they ship from. They have different sizes that you can order. Like they have like trial packs. These again tiny like 1 ounce little fucking spoonful things where you can see. All right, what does this do for me? Some people it makes them sick, and you throw up. It tastes like it doesn't taste good. That's when you try the gel caps. That's when I don't know. You try mixing it with chocolate milk, but it is the best possible alternative to synthetic medication as far as I'm concerned. And it's something that I just simply have to do in the meantime, because in the States here they're just not doing shit for me. They recognize there's a problem. They'll give me something for the effect, but not for the cause. And I get it. My tolerance is through the roof. Kratom or Kratom doesn't really make me feel great, but it makes things tolerable. And that's like a 6.5 out of 10 as far as pain. It's extremely difficult. It's hard to explain pain to people who think you're just faking it. Especially, I mean, mental health. Don't even get me started on trying to explain that to people. Try vanilla Coke. Yeah, I've been doing that. I see we have similar thoughts on being high or loaded. Yeah, I got like ridiculous drunk for my 21st birthday, and there was that sensation that the floor was kind of like teeter-tottering. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Some people prefer it. Some people want to escape reality. I need to feel like I have control in some way, shape, or form. And because I don't have any control of like that is something that my therapist has told me, that one of my main mental issues is I feel like I don't have control of things that happen around me, and it's something that holds me back in a lot of cases. But yeah, mitragaya.com. Look into it. Look into the medication. Watch, or the plant, should I say? Watch the documentary, and let's get me a sponsor. It'd be weird that if I get sponsored by Coffee's Cousin, but not Vanilla Coke. Whoa, small font. Spinal issues are brutal. At 22 years old, I couldn't swallow correctly for nearly 2 years without choking from an injury to the cervical region, along with the nervous system issues like you mentioned. Yeah. Wouldn't even know you were struggling if you didn't talk about it. Your attitude is admirable. Stuff is no joke, so I hope you can get an efficient long-term solution. I appreciate it. And that's what bothers me, is the stigma. The stigma of associating, treating something with like this negative attitude that, you know, these are addicts, these are felons. No. For the most part, you fucking assholes who have lobbyists shoved half of this shit down our throats. And the thing that you knew was going to happen happened. And now you're all, oh, well, we got to stop this shit. Somebody in power's kid overdosed, so we have to cut this shit off. And act like nothing's, you know, nobody's the wiser. But rehabilitation is, you know, that's what prison's supposed to be for. We have very weird stigmas in this country. And from what I understand and what I've learned of Europe and how they are socially, we're very weird sexually too. We're very prude as a nation, oddly enough. If you consider marketing driven by, you know, sex appeal and star power and movies, sex appeal. But this country, and I myself included, is a missionary, you know, behind closed doors, don't tell anybody, whatever, blah 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 blah. Whereas around the world, it's quite open. There's a lot less hostility and judgment everywhere else I've been, and I don't know why that is. We keep saying we're the best country in the world. I would argue against that case in certain instances. It just seems like we're very judgmental, and especially in some cases where people in power have created that issue. It's unfortunate. It really is. It's terrible. You could think about any sort of financially rich corporation and what their interest is, and a lot of people who aren't rich have died to make sure that these big corporations with their I'm not trying to get too political, but you know, people pay for advertising, so to speak, from people in power, and you know, you have things like guns killing people, you have things like drugs killing people, you have all certain types of car, oil, all of this shit. It's killing people, and somehow people who are the customers that were wanted by these big rich companies, when they kind of wave the white flag and say, okay, I fucked myself up, I need help, there's this stigma that there's no rehabilitation. It's just you're a criminal. And again, prison's supposed to be to rehabilitate, not put somebody away. It's really, really, really disappointing. as somebody who's been detained in a completely different country for traveling, I don't know. If you're somebody who suffers from pain, if you're dealing with something personal that you don't want to let other people know about, as far as an addiction's concerned, and it has to do with painkillers, opioids, things of that nature. I really, genuinely, as somebody who myself am hopeless, look into that kratom plant, and again that Mitragaya. Where's the website? They are probably the cheapest, and they have a really good selection where if you go to like a smoke shop or something, they may have like 3 different things or 4 different things, and it's always like green Meng Da, white Meng Da, red Meng Da, red Bali, and those are the popular strong ones. Whereas this company will explain to you why there's different strains and the benefits. Like, maybe you want to treat pain, but you don't want to, be tired. Or maybe you need to have a job where you're walking around and you need the giddy up. They help you out and tell you what the pros and cons of each of those differences in strains are. Yeah, that was a lot to not get paid, but right. So, as to the Lost situation, the video is supporters of the channel, Patreon. You essentially have access to what I was working on and what I was worked up to until I really started suffering. So it's, in a perfect world, I can bust my ass. I don't know. I'm supposed to call my pain management doctor back this week. In a perfect world, I get something a little stronger than kratom just to bridge the gap and get some editing done. But maybe the 23rd. I'm making no promises, but at least it would still be one of the numbers, 8/23/23. If you don't know Lost, you're like, what the fuck is the date so important for? And I thought I was being cute. 8/15/23. Those are some of the numbers. The numbers, for those of you who don't know, 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. And there was a split second where I thought maybe I was going to be able to push it back a day and do 8/16/23. That has come and passed. Oh, what's up, J-Dev? Cheers. Yeah, so I'm relearning OBS. So I now have special little sound bites and hotkeys for super chats and subscribers and members, all of that, and they're different. Contribute different amounts to find out what the different sounds are. The ending of Lost was crap? Is that what that's supposed to say? Translation: CP got jealous of Cody's soundboard and improvised. Yo, that thing he's got is like, that's, listen, we may be friends, we may be tight, we may be hanging out with each other, we may be playing games together, but as far as where we are professionally, I'm not professional on YouTube. He takes his job very seriously, and he's got the right utensils, is what I'll say. And I have immense respect for that. Somebody who takes their money and puts it into the product, which is what you're supposed to do. Like, you're supposed to invest in the product. Thank you, Noah. I appreciate it. I saw the new Evil Dead Rise and Max, similar to the 2013 remake, brutal and bloody. That opening title sequence, I thought, could be one of the better opening title sequences in a very, very long time. That was very cool. Lost on Lost. Yeah, you're going to want to skip this video then, because I spoil shit. As much as I advise anybody who's in pain or looking to, discreetly taper off of something that perhaps they don't want to tell people they're taking publicly, as much as I will sing the praise of Kratom, I will do so tenfold for Lost. Granted, it took me 3 or 4 times to catch on and get a hold and watch that show, but once I started watching it, that's actually a show that I was watching, binging while waiting for my surgery, and I actually, season 6 was going on while I was in the hospital, and the one thing that I was pissed about was one of the last episodes premiered while I was on bed rest in the hospital, and I sort of watched it. When you're out of surgery, whether or not you want to be, your body is just completely, you're asleep a lot, and you're not really coherent, and having to watch Lost on a hospital TV with some dude moaning in the other bed is not optimal, and it kind of sucked, and I barely remembered it, so I made sure I DVR'd it and watched it whenever I got home. Plus you're doped out of your fucking skull. Like the 3 or 4 days after a surgery, you're not remembering much. Season 6 was weak. Yeah. Yes, I have seen Oppenheimer. It is currently my favorite film of 2023. I do not agree with you, CP, on Evil Dead Rise, because I haven't seen it yet, so I can't agree. Logic. Sounds fair. I will defend any criticism to Lost. All right then. Yeah. So Cody's probably taken off, but we had a hell of a time playing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. It's the same company that does. It's Gun Media, the same company that did the Friday the 13th game. It's something that you really need to play with somebody. I can absolutely see that game getting old fast. It is the same shit. It is Dead by Daylight. It is Evil Dead. It is Friday the 13th. I mean, shit, it's the same people that make it. But Cody and I had a blast. If you're playing with people that you're talking to, you can watch it for yourself. Cody Leach's Game Chamber is where he streamed it, and on my Twitch channel, same name, twitch.tv WILIscredia, you have my angle. I die a lot faster. Spoiler. I played right into every horror trope too, because I was the black guy, and it seemed like I was the human shield, which is, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in future incarnations. I'm trying to make that guy's XP as high as possible, and I'm gonna fight back because bitches be hiding behind me. That Texas Chainsaw game is going to get old fast. Yeah, well, if you don't have anybody you're playing with, yes. If they don't update it, if they don't do DLC, yes. But I wasn't tired of it after 2.5 hours. I looked forward to. He's probably out already, but Cody was planning on. He probably played with somebody else or whatever, but I looked forward to playing it again. As long as I have somebody that I'm on a team with, which oddly enough, being the killers seems like it's more fun if you have people that you're talking with, because there's no incentive for the people being chased, the victims, to work as a team. There's no incentive. If they could somehow make it where, you have a reason to not use somebody as a shield, it would really kind of be a nice balance. I mean, the fact that the family can't die, that is something that maybe approach that where everybody but Leatherface can die, and if you work as a team and kill people with specific powers or whatever, you'd be more inclined to work as a team to get rid of somebody who helps the chainsaw or excuse me, Leatherface and the groaning grandpa. Just a weird. That's all he does in that game, and you just feed him blood and he just constantly moans. Cody currently is in the chat. Yeah, well, for good reason. Troy says, I'm not afraid to admit anything. I've done pretty much every drug for fun or as needed, depending on age and circumstance. I am open book for anyone with questions. Now, and kudos. Some people aren't, and I but have you done bath salts? I said pretty much, Dice. I don't chew off faces. I was doing work. I think I was on the road. I was in Florida when they had that homeless guy who took bath salts and ate somebody's face off. And this is at a time when Rihanna's We Found Love in a Hopeless Place. And I don't remember where I heard it. I don't think I came up with it. My memory's shit. But it was popular. It was on the radio a lot. Maybe a comic that I opened for or what. But they changed the lyrics to "We found a bum who ate a homeless face." And if you just stick those lyrics into the Rihanna song "We Found Love in a Hopeless Place," it fits. And it was the song was very popular at the time, and it was a very strong joke for the time. Very topical, very meta, but ultimately dated, because that was years ago now. Years ago. At least 10, I want to say. I just want to make sure. Oh, JDev. We'll give you another one for that. I appreciate the patronage. That's one. We've heard two. JDev got two because, well, I want to work out the kinks of the system. So, yeah. Only inside, some of them have led to great personal growth. Yeah. I don't advocate, any sort of anything. In regards to illicit what have you. But I do understand that the world isn't perfect for everybody, and sometimes you need something to stop the shittiness, and it's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate that in America it's such a stigma. Again, the word rehabilitation doesn't mean what it does around the rest of the world. And it's weird because it's a stigma that kind of is created by people who pull the levers and have the money and have the corporations. It's as political as I'm going to get with that. So this is the first time I'm streaming not show business related, not Texas Chainsaw Massacre related, which again, twitch.tv/WILIscredia. Cody Leach's end. Cody Leach's game channel is Cody Leach's Game Chamber. Go watch his. You could see his reactions. You could hear my voice. And there's one time, or one lone time, where he died before I did, and he got to watch me as I was the last one standing, and it was quite funny. The 20 seconds that I had to run around. So, yeah. I mean, if you watch my version, you're still going to see Cody, because I die early and then I end up watching Cody. And except for the one time where somebody genuinely went out of their way to use me as a human shield, I wanted to make sure that person got theirs. And that's the only deviation from what the normal plan was. But Emily and I, we saw Oppenheimer. We saw When the Wind Blows, and we didn't have a player to watch Threads, which if you didn't watch that video, is something I will cover for who would like that when the channel reaches 10,000 subscribers. But we were going to do he is here. CP, let's go. Fuck, I'm dead. Yeah. I'm telling you, the stereotype is real. Rihanna and Calvin Harris's "We Found Love" came out in 2011. What are you talking about? $5 get you to figure out what the hell he's talking about. I'm just straight. I'm just groveling at this point. Like this scene from The Crow. Yeah, it's still pretty glitchy. It's fun. Cody, are you awake? I can wind this down if you wanna get this shit rolling. Yeah, that was funny. Is that short for yesterday? YSTD? that's bending over backwards to shorten a word. It was like they were trying to kill your character first because he was black. Dude, I'm telling you, it was like they were trying to fill the stereotype. All right. So there, you saw it from the horse's mouth. I can play for a bit. Head over to. Yeah, that is the $10 super chat sound. I have a $5 and a higher than $10 and an entry level super chat sound. And the problem with OBS is every time you learn something, they change it. Like, I remember NDI and all this other shit that you had to learn for sound. They switched it to something else. And I was like, I'm not, it took me 3 months to learn how to fucking whatever. If you notice, I don't have guests because I don't know how to fucking do any of that crazy shit. We used to do streams with somebody who tried rather valiantly to host streams from OBS, and it was, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes before the stream proper was getting off, and I just don't want to put myself through that. And because it's just not entertaining. My favorite part was when you and Cody finally caught the blue shirt as the family, the glory of it. Yeah. I'll strict to StreamYard. I don't want to learn OBS. Yeah, I would and have used StreamYard. What did I use before that too? There was something else I used that was cheaper, and it was cheaper for a reason. And StreamYard, my situation is very up in the air, like on a myriad of fronts, medically, financially, livingly. But one thing that I can say that on top of playing with later, you may see 75% of our top stream together in some sort of fashion in a vlog or something before our next 31 on 31. It wasn't just blue shirt guy, there was a blue shirt girl. The blue shirt girl was the one who used me as a shield. That was some fucked up shit. Emily is currently in England. She planted the flag. She's got what should and will be our place moving forward, and it's incredible. It really is. Other than the fact that buses and taxis don't really run after 3 p.m., it's kind of fucking creepy. The place itself is really great, and the internet connection is fast enough. That was my one thing. I told Emily, I said, we need fast internet, and I think I told her I wanted to pick the couch, but she has inherited a bunch of stuff from a family member, which is kind of clutch. And I also told her, Emily, I saw a bunch of our stuff from our old apartment off. Hold on. It's on a boat. Most of our shit is on its way over to you, so take it easy with furniture. Being up in the air is what I'm familiar with, usually in the form of hanging by a thread around my pinky toe. Yeah. Yep. I'm dying, CP. My cold. I'm keep coughing to death. Take some cough medicine. Panodil? Isn't that what it's called out there? I forget so much so quickly. no buses after 3. I live in the country. You would not last out here. No, I'm agoraphobic. I don't need buses. I just need someplace to get food, or someplace that delivers food, and fast internet. But I was a bit more outgoing away from New York, is what I will say. And I did have moments in Georgia where I needed a me break. And that was only like 3 or 4 days that I stayed with Cody. The big test is the next trip that I have that isn't to England, but Panodil, coughing meds with alcohol. Thanks. It has alcohol in it. I don't know. I don't know. You have vanilla Coke, you happy boy. Yeah. There's a lot of pros and cons between UK and US. But the Lost video, I'm trying. As much as I'm an advocate for dirt, again, there's their website. Tell them I sent you. Tell them to sponsor me. It's a band-aid on a scar that needs stitches. I'm trying. I'm doing it as much as I can. It's a 5 most tragic characters of Lost video. I'm working through and putting together the 3rd out of 5. So sort of halfway done with the video. And it just depends on how I'm feeling. And I can't sit for very long periods. In case you haven't noticed, I've kind of been adjusting, and I'm sitting on 3 pillows. Normally, I'm over here, but I have so much under my ass right now. And that is one of the benefits of playing with Cody. It's going to sound so bad, so you go ahead and clip it. When I do the playthroughs with Cody, I get to lay down on my side, and while Cody's whispering sweet nothings into my ears, I'm laying down. So there's that. In all seriousness, I'm wishing you the best and hope everything works out for you. I appreciate it, Zoe. I do. Hopefully, I just need. I'm trying to come to the terms with the fact that I might have to get a fusion surgery, because, like I said, my vertebrae is at 50% or stage 3 out of 4, and 4 is collapse. I quickly found out why they didn't use the term 4, stage 4. Stage 4 is always bad. And anything medical related, it seems like stage 4 is fucking alarms. Because she just stopped. You're at stage 3. How many stages are there? 4. What's stage 4? Collapse. Okay. The suppository was a trial run. Yeah, I've been penetrated in a lot of different countries, is something that I can say. And I think that's what I'm going to leave you with, is that I'm trying to get everything as quickly as possible and as comfortably as possible. But at the same time, I do have a backlog, and I understand and I appreciate everything and all the support. And yeah, I'm around. Again, it's easier for me to do gaming streams because I can lay down and you don't have to look at me. So I could pick my nose. I can lay sideways. There's a bunch of benefits for me doing that shit. And hopefully moving forward until England or surgery, I'll have some sort of bridge to the means to an end. But again, it's grinning and kratom for now. But again, remember, I've been penetrated internationally.